jetzt so.
Hello guys, so this video will be about building your own battery pack specifically for charging in the field. And this can be done, with car batteries. But if you don't want to carry around a car battery and still want to charge in the field, and you want something that can really pump out the amps, how do you build this? How did I start this? How can you do this yourself? When you go to eBay, you can find cheap 18650 laptop batteries. They're the batteries that go into your laptop. They're like sealed. Often they're from really old computers that are not used anymore, or they're dead. They're listed as a dead battery, and sometimes the circuit failed, sometimes a battery short-circuited, and then they're really cheap. They're like garbage, but they're still worth some money. I got mine for free. I went to a computer store and they had 30 laptop batteries that were all dead, that still had some good 18650 batteries in them. And I took them apart. I charged every single one of them with this charger, and I discharged them as well. And then I wrote down the amount of storage capacity the battery still had, because these, when new, had about 2500 milliamp hours, and now, at the end of the lifespan, they still had 2,300, so like 2,300 milliamp hours. And I listed that for every single battery, and I selected them. I put them into stacks. So for example, if this would be like a 4S battery, then I would make sure that all the cells that I would use in parallel would have the same capacity. So I took all the laptop batteries apart that I had. I had around 30. That was a lot of work. I pulled them apart with some pliers. I have some pliers right here. And I used them like to pull the tabs off. These tabs that come like welded onto the batteries. They're like spot welded on there. And I pulled them all off, and I charged every single one of them. I had around 150 batteries. And then I started checking, like, were they still good? Like, some had problems, and there's a lot of tutorials on the internet on how to do that, so go look for yourself. These are all the bad quality cells. This is my first battery. This was like without the proper stuff. You can put these batteries right in here, and then I used some metal strips to solder them together. You can solder on these batteries only if you use minimum heat. And with that, I don't mean that you have to power down your soldering iron or anything. No, you just have to be really quick, and then make sure they all cool down. I soldered these all in series and in parallel, like you build a normal battery. Like I would connect positive with negative, and then in series until I had a 4S battery. But of course, one with 90,000 milliamp hours in total of cells, and 23,000 milliamp hours in 4S. So it's a pretty big battery. It can charge 1,000 milliamp hour 4S batteries in one go. So this one is another one I made, and this is made with wire. I've bought specifically these soldering tabs. They heat up very quickly, they solder very nicely, and this one is made with wire. So I would strip a piece of wire and I would just solder all the tabs on. And I found that so messy that I'm actually pretty afraid of this one actually shorting, because when you short a 4S battery with that many amps, you can get a fire because it will heat up a lot. Yeah, this thing is kind of dangerous. So I only use it at home. I don't transport it around anymore that much, because when small pieces of wire break and start shorting or something, that would create a mess. So I don't like this design that much. I really prefer this design right now. So guys, if you want to build something, try to find these on eBay. They're really cheap. I got 150 of them for like €5 or so, or maybe €10. And these come from Banggood. These are balance wire tabs. They're very easy to solder onto your battery. And if you have a good battery line out, these will be plenty long enough to use them. Right here, they're like soldered on. They're not attached really well, but at the same time, it's good enough, you know, it just works. Then I have the tabs that I use to solder all the batteries together. And I basically use this solder. It's also from Banggood. And I use this soldering iron. It's also €10. So I basically got all this stuff for very cheap, and it works really well. Don't use too much solder, because you will heat up the battery too much and then it might damage it. Also, whenever you build something like this, first you take apart the battery, then you charge it up, then you empty it again, then you charge it up, you wait a few months, and then you check what batteries still have 4.2 volts, because when they have decreased in voltage, they have a short. And that's the way I worked out what batteries were shorted and which ones were still good. And all the ones that still had really good capacity were fine. And normally during charging the first time, I also found out that some batteries would get warm, and I would just immediately throw them out. You know, some batteries come with you know, normal voltage, but to bump it up when voltage was low, for example, the voltage of a battery, this battery was 1 volt or lower, maybe 0 volts. I would bump it up to about 2 volts, and then it would get recognized by the charger. I would do that by grabbing a bad battery, like only one with a very small capacity, and using 2 magnets to connect them in parallel, and then the low voltage charged cell would get charged, and then it would get picked up by the charger and everything would be fine. So that's how I basically revived old batteries. It's a dangerous thing, because often the batteries that are completely dead have problems with them, but sometimes they're like 99% fine. You know, some of these batteries still had like 90% of capacity, and still they came from bad voltage, you know, they came from 0 volts. So that was pretty interesting. And I saved so many batteries. I still have some laying around. I can build more of these batteries. If I get a new free stash of laptop batteries, I would do this again, because these are really high value, I think. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.